We're deep in the heart of the V8's paddock at the Sydney NRMA Motoring and Services 500. And this weekend, it's all about one thing, the championship. And the series fight is going to the Sydney 500. There are still 4 drivers fighting it out, and it's an old school Ford versus Holden battle. We'll speak to the contenders and roll out the highlights reel from one of the most brutal events on the V8 calendar. They're both in the vet! They're all in the vet! This one is set to go down to the wire. So who will be the last man standing? Welcome to V8 Extra from the 2013 Grand Finale.
Yes, the wild ride begins. The 2013 V8 Supercars Championship will wrap up right here at Sydney Olympic Park for the Sydney NRMA Motoring and Services 500. 2 final big days of racing, 500 kilometres and a lot at stake. There's an enormous crowd building up to witness it because Jamie Whincup is chasing his 5th title in 6 years. Craig Lowndes, his first in 14 years. The last one was back in 1999. For Mark Winterbottom, his first period, the Bathurst winner, and for Will Davison from Ford Performance Racing, his first as well. He was runner-up in 2009. This is V8 Extra. We're in preview mode. Thanks for joining us today. Mark Scaife is alongside. You've won the championship on 5 occasions. Grab that cup that's in front of the desk. Big pressure in this paddock behind us at the moment, Scaife.
Yeah, hi Neil. Hi everybody. This is massive pressure, Neil. It's been an extraordinary season. The number of winners and how tight. You could not have scripted this race meeting with 20 points behind in terms of Lowndes to Whincup, and obviously Mark Winterbottom in contention. Big risks, big rewards, and this is the ultimate, I reckon this weekend, ultimate in risk management.
And many things to talk about as this unfolds over the course of today and tomorrow. Today we're going to see qualifying, by the way, then a shootout, and then later this afternoon a twilight race, 74 laps, 250 kilometres for our first very important event. 300 points available. So many subplots here. Lowndes is the only double winner. Jamie's had a terrible run here over the years. We've been here 4 years, 8 races. The best that he's put together is 4 5th placings. This is a bogey track for him.
It certainly is. And as I said, when you've got the risk versus reward, very easy to make a mistake and you put yourself out, Cromper. I mean, it's 150 points per day. He's only got a 20-point lead. Anything can happen, but he was fast yesterday. That's the good point about it.
He was the fast man yesterday. Mark Winterbottom, who's vying for the title, 124 points behind, 3rd place, Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing. He's flying the blue flag, and boy, he's done a great job. You think back to Texas, Scaife, in June, 5th event of the championship season of 14. He was minus 368 points.
Yeah.
He was down in 8th place. So there's a lot to talk about. We're very much looking forward to it. Of course, we've got an enormous team of people that are putting it all together for us this weekend in the pit lane and all around the precinct to tell the story. And I know that Rihanna is down there at the moment at Red Bull Racing. Rihanna?
Yeah, guys, there has been a massive build-up to this final weekend of V8 Supercar racing, and all the talk has been about these 2 guys. Now, Jamie Whincup, there's a lot of theories getting thrown around, a lot of statistics getting thrown around, but fact is, this track, you haven't had a podium, you haven't had a pole position, and that needs to change this weekend for you to take home your 5th title. What are you and Dado going to do to make that work?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of mathematical masturbation going on with all the stats and figures, but at the end of the day, we haven't been able to get on the podium, which we plan to do today, but it's a calm before the storm. We're pretty chilled out here. Everyone's come out for a big day. We're in this nice big garage and try to make the car fast and get out in front.
There's a lot of fluff in that answer there, Jamie. Yeah. What are you and Dado going to do to take home this title?
What fluff are you referring to? Just the wah-wah? We're going to try to. I have missed the shootout a few times here, which through a bit of bad driving, bit of bad setup. So we're going to try to iron out those issues. If we can get a quick car, we're 3/4 of the way there.
I'm not sure how much we can take from that answer, but Craig Lowndes, you're always smiling. This is your best position since 2006 to take home a title. Behind that smile, what's running through your head?
being in the top 10. We missed out on it last year. So as Jamie said, we've got to get the car right, get qualifying done, but then we've got to make sure we're in the top 10, because if we're not in the top 10, it makes our life a lot harder, obviously, to try and beat him. And of course, that's what the ultimate aim is. And of course, around here we've seen that anything is possible, anything does happen, and everything will happen. It's sort of watching last year's race. I think we had 4 safety cars in the first 20 laps. So being a concrete canyon, you just got to stay off the walls, keep the car clean, and fingers crossed that we can have a fast car.
We look forward to this enthralling battle play out across the weekend. Thanks, guys.
Well, you want to see how popular these Ford guys are this weekend. Just have a look at the autograph lineup. Goes way, way, way down there. Look, right around here, Mark Winterbottom and Will Davison right here. So let's just grab a quick chat with the boys. Frosty, this is the last time I'm going to get to talk to you before you pull your helmet on, mate. I guess what we're really keen to hear, mate, the car and yourself so far this weekend, have you seriously got a crack at the title?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think the car was on used tyres, probably not the best, but on the green tyre or the new tyre, it was definitely a lot more comfortable. So James Small, my engineer, was working pretty hard last night, and he's about to head off on Tuesday to go to NASCAR. So I'm making sure he's using every last brain cell here for whatever we can get out of him for the last couple of days. But I think we've got a good chance, so we'll see how we go.
Anyway, mate, you weren't there to get that gnome you won last night for that great passing move, but if we can see some of that this weekend, you're going to be in great shape. Will Davo, a little bit harder for you, mate, nearly 300 points back, but I guess that lets you take a little bit of a different approach, and I'm just interested to hear what is your approach this weekend?
I'll just try and relax and enjoy it. Obviously, last race with FPR, and at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, we're a mathematical shop, but realistically, I'm just focused on the races, having fun, and generally, when you win, you have fun. So all-out attack, weight's off the shoulders now. Obviously, very disappointed about that, but no point looking back, looking forwards, and you know, it's such a big event here. It's a great event, and just getting stuck into it before a good holiday.
Anyway, it's been a great journey for you in the Falcon, mate. Yeah. So it'd be great to see you finish on a high note.
Sorry about that, Larko, but we'll have some fun this weekend.
All right, buddy. Well done.
Cheers. Thanks.
That's the top 4 contestants in the championship battle for 2013. Our viewer vote question, who's going to win the title? You can go to v8supercar.com.au or download the 7 Sport app and you can have your say on who's going to be our champion of 2013. There are 1,000 things to talk about this weekend. Really looking forward to this contest coming up later this afternoon. We'll sneak off to a break now and remind ourselves of one of the great moments of the 2013 championship, Craig Lowndes getting into the all-time record book with 91 wins.
And this is one for the record books. The People's Champion today becomes the all-time race winner.
It was just such a burst of excitement for me to get out of the car and to see Mark down there. For me, that was quite special. You know, we've been teammates, we've been rivals, and we're great mates. So it's for me, it was really nice to be able to share that moment with him.
Craig Lowndes, 91 career victories.
To be able to be now known as the most, or have the most victories in V8 supercars is, you know, is quite incredible. Definitely a record in the history books for me that's, you know, is quite outstanding.
His talent is supreme. Now he sits at the top of the list.
V8 Supercar fans arriving at Sydney Olympic Park. You can pop up right in the middle of the precinct here with the train station in the middle. In fact, a friend of mine used it last night to get back into town, said it was fantastic. Walked straight from the V8 paddock, jumped on the train and was back at Circular Quay in 45 minutes. It's a great precinct, this, fantastic for V8 Supercar racing. And look at that paddock. This is normally the home of the Royal Easter Show and the Showbag Pavilion. Welcome back to V8 Extra, and we're preparing for this grand finale weekend, the Sydney NRMA Motoring and Services 500. Mark Scapes with me. This place has turned on some electrifying motorsport since 2009. We've been here for 4 years, Scapey, 8 races, and there are no patterns other than there's a few invoices written at the end of it. Craig Lowndes has won a couple of races here, but there's some great stories to tell along the way.
There is, absolutely. I mean, as you said, it's a great sporting precinct, and on paper, the track doesn't look that wild. But we're going to show you some of the highlights over the years here from 2009. Check this stuff out. Early days, there's a little spin here with Dumbrell and Fiore, but there was fluid on the road. So the leader of the day, Lee Holdsworth, ended up in the fence. This was a ripper at the end of Australia Avenue. Will Davison locks up and spears straight into the side of Craig Lowndes. Then there was a battle at the end of the race between Bright, Whincup and Holdsworth for the podium. They're all bumping each other, running wide. This was turn 11, 12, 13, and Garth Tander, the winner of the first race on the streets of Sydney Olympic Park. 2010, check this out. He's hit the fence! They're both in the fence!
They're all in the fence!
I think that's one of the most extraordinary scenes. I'm not sure about you, Crobbo, but we commented at the time, we just couldn't believe it. Everyone was on slicks, put all the championship contenders out, and then, again, we saw some unbelievable racing on the Sunday with Van Gisbergen in the closing laps. And look at that! Van Gisbergen ran out of fuel. Courtney almost fired in the fence as he was trying to get by. So, dramatic scenes. This was drama. 2011, that was in the race, Whincup straight in the fence at the same spot at turn 5. Obviously, that put him out into the pits. Right-hand front damage, gone. The Saturday race. That was an extraordinary scene in terms of the championship. This is an extraordinary scene. I've never seen this. Ben Gisbergen hits the medical car. It's a Porsche Panamera. And at the end of the day, we were blown away by that. But at the end of the day, it was unbelievably hot, 39 degrees. And check this boot out. This is Dave Reynolds. Have a look at this Puma race boot. It's totally destroyed. That's as about as destroyed as you when you see the restaurant bill when you start running.
If you're going to crash into something around here, do not crash into a Porsche. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars as a motor car. And how's the heat here last year? And Davey's boot melting. So we've seen some amazing stuff. Scapey, one of the really difficult things is obviously just trying to deal with a track like this and to pop out the other side and win that trophy is not going to be an easy process, is it?
Oh, look, it's not, Neil. I mean, the seriousness, we've just seen some of the unbelievable vision and the things that can go wrong here. But you've got to apply yourself to, number one, qualifying well. Number two, staying out of trouble. Risk management will be the key.
So we're going to pull all that apart in our next segment. Mark Larkham is going to do a track analysis for us to really understand what this place is all about. That's coming up after the break. And we'll go to the break with what I think was one of the very special moments, a poignant moment in the 2013 Championship when Jason Bright was able to win the Jason Richards Trophy at Pukekohe in New Zealand.
This is the day we recognise one of our true fans in V8 Supercar history, Jason Richards Memorial Trophy on the line.
You know, Sunday was probably one of the toughest days. Getting in the car for that Sunday race, starting on pole, and having to come away with a win to at least know that I'd done everything I could to win the trophy was pretty important.
Down the inside goes Bright. This is for the lead of the race, and he gets it done. Nice job, Jason Bright. Brilliant.
To drive with that much emotion was, something I haven't ever had to do before.
Well, today the tears will flow. They're on their feet because sometimes it is about so much more than winning.
Jason, be proud, mate.
I've had some really nice wins with Bathurst and Clipsals and Sandown 500s, but this, as far as sentimental value, is far above all of them.
15th of December 2011, one of the saddest days in our business when we lost Jason Richards. Well, last Thursday, the drivers from Erebus Motorsport and Betty Clemenco visited the Taronga Zoo, one of the most picturesque and beautiful zoos in the world. Betty, in fact, is a benefactor at Taronga Zoo. The boys got up close and personal with the lions. The lions took one look at those drivers and screwed their noses up. They also got involved with a wedge-tail eagle and a falcon, as I understand, not a Holden in sight. And this is what everybody's competing for this weekend, the 2013 V8 Supercar Championship Trophy. Mark Scaife is joining us now. Before the break, we talked about the complexities of this racetrack. It's a tough place. Concrete line, 3.4 kilometres. It's the number 2 toughest in the 14 event tour for brakes. Ditto that for suspension. It requires a huge amount of concentration, and Larko explains to us just exactly why Sydney Olympic Park is so tough.
As you can see, this is absolutely a street circuit, and I want to give you 6 reasons why I think this place is going to offer a dramatic conclusion to our championship. Number 6, this is narrow. This is narrower than where we typically go in our racing year, where a driver can drop 2 wheels into the dirt if he makes an error and he's forgiven. Not at all here. And some of the corners are blind, so if there's an accident around the corner, remember 2010, you're going to drive right into it. Number 5, track surface changes. This place is grip limited by surface change. Remember, the cars are at the limit of adhesion all the time. I've told you that before. And have a look at this, just one corner. We've got a bicycle way over there, 4 lines of white paint, tarmac, concrete, another grade of concrete, another grade of concrete, and tarmac. That's just one corner. Number 4, public road camber. Look at the way this street circuit slopes. Puts the rainwater into the gutter. Race cars hate it. Lack of grip. Race cars want the road to slope this way. Number 3, brake stress. There are 5 places around this little circuit where you have brake line pressure in excess of 1,000 psi and temperature in excess of 800 degrees centigrade. Now that simply means your front brakes start to fade, which means your rear brakes start to work really well. That's bad news for drivers. Number 2, curbs. And this Sydney racetrack is full of them and you have to use them. But it's a very refined art as to your racing line, the balance of the car, the release of the brake to attack them and not break your car. And this place has a history of breaking cars. And number 1 by a long shot will be mental fatigue. The driver that wins this championship will be the same driver that can navigate through all those elements we just spoke about for a couple of hours without tripping up on any one of them.
And it's all fine and dandy to talk about it being 25 degrees in Sydney today. However, further to the west, it'll be more like 28, 29 degrees, Scafey, in the cars. And we don't talk about it that often. It is mentally tough.
No doubt. I mean, it's another 20 to 25 degrees hotter than the ambient. Last year, as we saw before, was 39 degrees. You know, there were guys in plenty of trouble. It's such a hard racetrack, Crombo, because of all the things that Mark Larkham just spoke about. But it's one of those ones that if you want to go well, if you want to be fast, which obviously they do, you have to take big risks. If you take big risks, you get rewards, but the downside is pretty bad.
A couple of other things to look out for as well. You can be absolutely rock solid guaranteed of a safety car intervention. It's 100% intervention here. Yep. I think we've had an average around about 3.6 per race since we started. The other point that we'll talk about through the course of the weekend is stacking, and that's something that I know many of you out there are passionate about. We'll have a chat about that. We've got lots of things to get through in V8 Extra. Coming up shortly, James Courtney will join us on the panel. Unfortunately for James, he's not running this weekend. And there we are inside the Nissan camp and those wonderful Nissan Hornets. James Moffat, well, what a wonderful moment for him back at Winton earlier in the championship season with his first V8 supercar win. Stay with us.
It has been 21 years since Nissan did it, and a 1-2 to celebrate.
When you look back at the history of the sport, it's only been done very few times as a 1-2 finish for the same team. Obviously, Dad was pretty synonymous with a famous 1-2 victory at Bathurst in '77.
And Moffat from the outside will sweep around, takes a checkered flag first for victory in the 1977 Hardy Perodo 1000.
I know he was very proud of me when I was able to get that first win, and I wouldn't change it for the world. You know, I love him to bits and I'm proud to be his son.
And James Moffat gets his first win in the V8 Supercar Championship.
It's something that I'll never forget. Something that I've been working towards my whole career, and to finally achieve that is a big relief.
Supercar customers out in force this weekend to catch up with their favourite drivers and teams, and there's plenty of stuff in Merch Alley as well. You might find 1 or 2 old Skatemobiles in there if you look hard. There's some amazing gear and it's a terrific location for V8 Supercar racing. Welcome back to V8 Extra. Also a little bit of time in there for an ice cream. Beautiful weather out here today. It's going to be 29 degrees in Sydney's west, and I think we're going to have great weather for tomorrow. Now, there's plenty going on in news at the moment. Aaron Noonan's the guy that's totally across it. This time of the year, there's lots to talk about, Noons.
Oh, Neil, you're exactly right. Silly season is well and truly off and running, and I want to talk to you about something that no one else has touched yet. Russell Ingall, the enforcer. Of course, it's his last weekend with Super Cheap Auto Racing, but there is increasing speculation that Ingall may drive full-time in 2014. Now, we know it's his last weekend with the Super Cheap team. Talk won't go away of him driving on next year. Now, my sources have told me that there's the potential, we should say the potential, he may drive for Lucas Dumbrell's team next year. Of course, Russell has a very long connection with Holden. He's driven with them for 13 of his 17-odd seasons in V8 Supercar racing. So we'll see how that plays out. Remember, too, in the Phillip Island telecast, he made a John Farnham reference with Larko at the end of proceedings there. So you never know. I wouldn't be surprised if the enforcer is on the grid at Clipsal come February next year. Now, some big names from World Motorsport are here at Sydney this weekend. Tim Cindric, the president of Penske Racing, of course, the heavyweight of NASCAR and IndyCar racing, is here. Also is Ford Racing USA director Jamie Allison. Clearly, this is no holiday, because when Roger Penske's squad has, well, when he has business interests, he generally has racing interests. And if you look at his history, he goes racing with manufacturers, and that's the only way I can see him coming into V8 Supercars at some stage. Remember, they run Fords in NASCAR, they run Chevy engines in IndyCar with Aussie Will Power, part of the driver lineup. They've had backing in the past from Honda, Mercedes-Benz, from Dodge, from Porsche, in all sorts of other programs. So let's not get carried away with this too much too soon, because there's a lot to go under the bridge in terms of the water on a possible deal. Ford Links Clear Syndrink went for a ride yesterday with Chaz Mostert, Allison with Mark Winterbottom from FPR, and they spent all their time at FPR and DJR in the garages yesterday. Also linked to a potential Penske V8 involvement is Aussie NASCAR star Marcus Ambrose. He's under contract to Richard Petty Motorsports until the end of next season, but he's a free agent come 2015. So Ambrose versus Whincup. It's never happened before. It could very well happen, and that's a mouth-watering thing to contemplate. Also on DJR2, Scott Pye has signed with that team for the next 2 years. They've also secured another racing entitlements contract, so they have 2 cars to run next year, another driver to yet be announced, but they will definitely run cars number 16 and the famous number 17 next year. Bit of an update too for you on Volvo. Yesterday here at Sydney Olympic Park, they unveiled the engine that will power their S60 race cars next year. It's based on the 4.4 litre road engine that they've had in their range in the past, of course up to 5 litres. Still no word yet on what is happening with Alex Premer for next year. Noticeably not involved in another Volvo press launch yesterday, so we'll wait and see on what unfolds during the off-season. But Neil, as always, there is plenty of news up and down this lane. I'll have some more for you before the championship finale tomorrow.
Hey, Noons, before you disappear, and that's all fine and dandy, all that serious stuff, but how was your Friday night, by the way? Did you have a good night?
The word that springs to mind is wet, Neil. It's slippery.
If you didn't watch Friday Night Live last night, folks, you made a massive mistake. The V8 sleuth, as we like to call Aaron the Nerd Noonan, ended up being dunked by that shot from Todd Kelly, and there he is.
Yeah, that's me. It took him 4 goes to get me, though.
Yeah, we had to work hard on it. All right, thanks for the news update.
No worries, guys.
Joining us on the panel now, James Courtney. Sad to say that, because for the first time in 7 years, James won't be racing a V8 supercar this weekend as a result of what happened down at Phillip Island. James, welcome. Sorry about the circumstances. Tough break, mate.
Yeah, I think I could have a crack, but they reckon my shin bone will collapse if I start to use it too much. So yeah, it's probably a better thing to sit on the side this weekend.
So other than chewing Penadine forts like Smarties, what else have you been doing to recover?
I've been spending so much time in a hyperbaric chamber. It's been crazy. It's been really good for the healing, and it's sort of sped everything along.
Here it is in replay, James. Just have a look at this.
It's a good shot, isn't it?
It's an amazing
Bang,
shot.
straight in the door.
So that's Alex Premer, tyre failure down at turn 4, the hairpin at Phillip Island, and cracked straight into the driver's door on your car there. And subsequent to that, when you went back to the Gold Coast Saturday night, you watched our race coverage on Sunday, and then early in the following week, you discovered that you had a broken bone in your right leg.
Yeah, I got all the scans on Monday, and yeah, they found the dramas there. So I knew it was sore, but I was pressing on. I was hoping to come here this weekend. So as you do, play everything down. You know what it's like. But then when I realised the severity of it all, it had to step aside.
As a result, a massive amount of work for your guys at the Holden Racing team, not only since Phillip Island, but also at the Gold Coast, and of course at Bathurst as well. And Nick Percat has stepped into what's a brand new car. They shook it down at Calder the other day. So nice, shiny new wheels for him. There we are, car number 22. Must be weird for you to be sitting in the garage watching all this go around, and you're pinning up a smile and pretending it's cool, but it's not when you're a race driver.
Yeah, far from cool.
He's doing a good job.
Yeah,
he's doing a really good job. He's very, very good.
Get it into the 10 today, son. No, it's been actually pretty interesting because Nick's obviously been announced to coming here next year, well, with our team. So I've been working with him a little bit and talking about little driving techniques and stuff that I use to try and get a bit more out of the car, and it's worked pretty well with him. Yesterday he did a cracking job, and I won't be surprised seeing him inside the 10 this
just
today.
should make the point that he'll be driving the 4th Walkinshaw racing car for 2014. That was announced during this past week. Frustrating for you though, James, because there looked like there was back end of the season momentum despite what happened in the Enduros, when you consider that 7 podiums for you 2013, including a race win at Winton. You've got Adrian Burgess, your old friend, joining you next year. He helped you to the 2010 championship. So we could see that there was a bit of momentum in your campaign, and it all came undone, sadly.
Yeah, the good thing is that we've had plenty of speed when all these things have been going wrong. In the last few years since I got here, these things have been happening, but we've been wobbling around in the back, so it just makes it a lot more bearable when you go out in good positions. So it's we've got the car speed, and we just got to clean up those little things around the edges, and I think we're on for a good shot next year.
Scapey's going to help you back down the stairs to get into a good position to watch everything that's coming up carry him this afternoon, because very shortly we're going to have qualifying, then the shootout, and this afternoon twilight race, 74 laps, 250 Ks. Thank you, James. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for watching us. Coming up very shortly, Matty White to take you through all the action. We've got a big motorsport afternoon coming up on 7. Hope you can stay with us. Bye for now.